I was always interested in images, and I kind of lived through fantasy and movies and magazines. So one day, like late in high school, I borrowed a camera from the photo club. I never even thought of being a photographer, but I knew I wanted to go to art school. So I borrowed a camera from a friend, and I took pictures of these girls that I met at the disco. And we put them in vintage clothes, and the guy who had the vintage clothing shop lent us this beautiful, like, Gothic revival mansion, and we shot these pictures in this mansion with hardly any furniture and just like big deep shadows. And the reaction was so amazing from these pictures. Everyone just went on and on. So I thought this is a great indication of a good direction to go. Well, I'm specializing in people. You know, I find the human face endlessly fascinating, and all its nuances. And not only that, that's approaching it from a more documentary style, but what I'm more familiar with is doing what I call is fantasy photographs, making people look their very best, making their photographic fantasy come true. And in that way, I can help them get to their next level, and that gives me a big boost that I'm aiding them, giving them art direction, and giving them specific instructions. But and it plays in well because it has to do with the fulfilling the needs of other people. That's what is the essence of commercial photography, and that's what I'm specializing in. I went to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia for my formal training. I started in my sophomore year to work for local newspapers, actually a few of them, fanzines having to do with music, or other local newspapers having to do with local events of interest there. And that's where I got my interest in shooting events. So I had my formal training, which included both fine art and commercial photography, which I have actually pursued all of this time in my career. Photographed in both genres, and a lot of times the people in the two worlds don't meet. But for me, since I grew up living and working in the same place, doing commercial and fine art photography, it's all of a similar mindset to me, and I think that's one of the things that makes me unique. And after college, I went to do my apprenticeships in Paris with two different photographers. One was a portrait photographer, Philippe Vermez. He had a beautiful studio in the Bastille section of Paris, where I did his printing for him for many fine art books, and he photographed artists, and I got to, experience the bohemian life with him, and it was very textural. And then in contrast, I worked with another photographer who was very bourgeois and lived at the Place des Vosges, and he was an interiors photographer who had worked in many different international home and garden magazines, British Home and Garden, South Africa, Australian, in America, Home Beautiful. So I worked with this gentleman to really develop my technique with the lighting and how to approach interiors. Well, I think I've chosen a field that has been endlessly fascinating, and you can endlessly grow in this field. There is so much new technology to be appreciated and absorbed and interpreted, and you can take this new technology and you can take older images and you can revamp them and refresh them with the new technology. I find that endlessly fascinating, and I've also stuck with it because like early on in my career, so many people have just gone crazy over the pictures. So it's been such a great barometer of my career to be able to hear the feedback from my peers. Oh, this is great stuff. This is what I can use. This is what I need. This is exactly what was, like a timely thing for the client at that point. So this is a great indication, I'm going in the correct direction. One of my favorite moments was I was working for French Marie Claire magazine, and we went to the Cannes Film Festival to shoot Jane Fonda and Isabella Rossellini. So there I was at a place called Cap d'Antibes, which is this really, really super famous hotel where all these celebrities go, and where all these movie stars were having their private parties, and like the world's richest people go there. It was like an amazing, amazing hotel. Marble and pine trees and flower gardens and the scent of jasmine in the air, the salt air and all. Anyway, so I drive my little car, I park it, I go into Jane Fonda's hotel suite, and she's like having some interview with like some French TV channel. And afterwards, they were like, oh, well, this is Danielle, and he's here to photograph for Marie Claire magazine. And they're like, oh, Danielle, it's your turn now. It's just like, oh, great. So Jane comes over, and she shakes my hand, and she's just like, follow me. So we walk into her suite. She opens up all these big double doors of closets. Boom, 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 boom. She's just like, pick out anything you want for me to wear. Just like that. It's like the most... I just felt so privileged and honored that she could just let me just pick out whatever I wanted. It's like an amazing moment. There were so many incredible experiences, but of course, it's a great networking opportunity, and you get to network with people that you wouldn't normally be able to have contact with. Editors of international magazines and art directors and special fashion stylists and hair and makeup people and top international models. So that part I really have always enjoyed over the years. I've gotten to shoot Fashion Week in Los Angeles and also in Paris, in addition, but mainly in New York. And I especially enjoy shooting backstage. Hair and makeup trends, I think, are especially interesting because the pictures are so versatile, and the girls are of a caliber and so experienced that just one slight nuance of their expression is all you need. Just this and this and this. That's all you need. You're like, I got the picture. And it's just like fantastic. I use something called combination lighting, which is a mixture of ambient light along with a certain amount of artificial light, whether it's continuous or flash. And with that, that is part of my distinctive style. I want my things to stand out. I want to do flattering, fresh, modern pictures, and I want them to bring out the soul and the personality of the subject. And I believe in Buddhism, they say many different objects, living things, all have souls in them. Whether it's a tree or a building or photographing a statue or a work of art. Someone's created it, and someone has some bit of their essence in that object, and I try to capture that. Become in tune with the spirit of what is going on and the creativity that's going on with that object. That's what I try to bring out in every subject that I photograph. Actually, yes, I do want to teach a course at a college. And in an ideal world, I would love if this course would be fine art versus commercial photography, because it's some subject that I know about, and I think it would be endlessly fascinating to the students. And actually, I have been mentoring students from the different universities here in Manhattan, SVA, Parsons, a couple different schools, International Center of Photography. So I've already been practicing my lesson plans for when I'm teaching with my individual interns that I've helped. And it's been a help for me, it's been a help for them. We also often go on field trips out to beautiful places, the botanical gardens, the Chinese Scholars Garden, you know, and different places that I think would be very beneficial to them. And not only do I tell them what I think would be interesting, but you know, they of course get a review, the editing, and the review afterwards. So it's, you know, it's many parts, but that's how it is with photography. It's from the concept to the actual going to the location, to the shooting, the editing, the retouching, the packaging, and you know, if it ends up in a frame or if it ends up as part of a digital portfolio. So there are many steps in photography, and that's why you have to love your images so much. Well, I see myself doing a lot more of the same as what I have been doing, which is both commercial and fine art photography. I would like to get some big contracts and work for some stock agencies, some international stock agencies, and also photographing more of nature and architecture and you know, beautiful homes and parks. And I would like to shoot more celebrities and have more exhibits, and I want to have more magazine covers and have more agents in more cities. So it's just more of the same, but kind of bigger and better. There's always steps to go, and there are new things to attain in this field. And like, you just don't, unlike many professions where you reach a level and you just kind of plateau off, this is the kind of field that you can keep growing exponentially, and that's why I'm so fortunate that I got to do what I'm doing.